First, we'll start off with the second quarter safety. I think that was kind of the turning point that came early in this game, and the Sooners are not going to win when you have these kinds of self-inflicting wounds. You talk about that in that second quarter when Oklahoma was kind of pinned deep in its own territory, and then they have they have the penalty on the punt return that ends up coming back and pushing them back, I believe, inside or on their own 5-yard line. And then you have the penalty to back you up. And I think that was an illegal formation penalty that backs the offense up inside the 5-yard line down to the 2-yard line now. And then Ben Arbuckle kind of calls this slow developing outside zone play that just really doesn't work. It was for Torrey Blaylock, and I don't blame Torrey Blaylock. I think in the moment I felt like he needed to push up field a little faster. I don't think he had time to do that. He does need to in that scenario, but I also think that the tight end coming across almost messed up the block. But I think Jake Mikula had a terrible game yesterday. I will call that out. And I don't like to call out players because mainly just for the reason that I don't like calling out. I don't know. I never do like calling out players or calling out specific names specifically. But I think you are starting to get to a different day and age where I think sometimes you just have to call out who it was that you're talking about. And I don't know. I suppose in this scenario, it's just easier for me to find that. But anyways, that's you just battled back. You just stole momentum, got down there, and got the touchdown to go ahead. You get the stop on the defense, and then the offense stalls out and then gives up 2 points there, which then gives over back to the ball back over to Ole Miss, and Ole Miss up 12-10 in a crucial moment. They go down there and they end up giving what becomes a 5-point swing now because Ole Miss goes down there and is able to end up kicking a field goal. Let's see if I can get my words out this. You just keep on saying this morning. It's not morning anymore, guys. But let's see if I can get my words out. But anyways, I think that free kick, that was a big return. It ends up getting Ole Miss down the field, and again, that now gives Ole Miss the opportunity, the chance to go up, and they take it. They go up 15-10 at that point. A huge momentum swing there for Oklahoma. Kind of jumping forward into the game, I think this is probably one, and I kind of ranked these as most critical. I didn't rank them as chronological order. I ranked them as most critical in my opinion. And I think Isaiah Sategna's fourth quarter fumble was the next one up on the list. So we're talking, I think there's two more that I'm going to bring up, and this ranks at number 3 for me. I think this was another big one. And with Oklahoma, they're trailing 31-26, so it's a 5-point game, just over 7 minutes remaining, and Oklahoma had a golden opportunity, a big return. It sets them up in beautiful position, and it was really a bad punt as well. Sets them up in great position. The defense forces that punt. Sategna fields the punt, goes down there, returns it, and as he attempts to hurdle a defender, the Ole Miss a receiver, it was Trace Bruckler, who ends up forcing the fumble, and Rebels end up recovering. Immediately, I thought he was down. He's got to be down, but he's still barely up on a player before he's down, and ends up turning the ball over. And so instead of Oklahoma possessing the ball at the 50-yard line with a chance to take the lead, Ole Miss now kicks a 37-yard field goal. Again, the defense standing up and doing what they have to do, and it was huge. A 37-yard field goal to push the lead up to 34-26, and basically seals the game at this point because Oklahoma has no more timeouts. They have to drive the entire distance of the field now, and you're down 8 points. So you have to get down there and score, and you have to be able to score the 2-point conversion. So it was just a horrible situation, and I think you could probably rank this higher just because of the timing of it, but I don't think I rank it as high because of other things that could have happened before it that could have really kept Oklahoma out of this situation as a whole. And that really leads us into the next one, the failed 4th down conversion. They're right before halftime. I don't know that I really go for it on 4th down here. I think Oklahoma, they're kind of facing that 4th and 2 near midfield, the second quarter. Ben Arbuckle calls a play-action pass from under center. Ole Miss snuffs it out immediately, and it was just again another one of these situations where you go into a formation that Oklahoma's not good at. You don't have a true tight end to rely on in this situation, and I don't understand it. The Rebels end up taking over in OU territory and capitalizing with a touchdown from that drive to end up giving them a 22-10 lead, a deficit that really proved to be insurmountable for the Oklahoma Sooners to really come back from. And I think without that, without the first half lack of offense and the first half, and there's a lot more that we can get into and we will dive into in the first half. But I think without all of without the offense performing well, and then of course crucial things that happened in the first half that really set Oklahoma behind, and then getting yourself behind 22-10 at halftime, you're now down by 2 scores. That's really what boils down to a lot of the second half stuff that didn't go Oklahoma's way. Because if you're not down by 2 scores, even if you're just down by 1 score, you come out and you get the ball in the second half and you can make something of it, and you can come out here and instead of having to score 2 times in order to get back into the lead, there's so much in that first half that the safety, and I think that, of course, then going down to that fourth quarter in that first half, those are 2 things that absolutely killed Oklahoma, because that then gives you 9 points that you gave to Ole Miss rather than being able to do something for yourself. And then critical penalties at inopportune times. I think that's the next one that we have to point out here for the Sooners. I think those critical penalties that Oklahoma had, talking about the one that backed them up. So starting off, Oklahoma was flagged 8 times for 52 yards, with many coming at critical junctures of the game, critical moments where it just really killed Oklahoma. I think first one of them that I have to mention is an offsides penalty by R. Mason Thomas that negated what would have been a sack or tackle for loss. I'm not really sure how you consider that. I think it would have been a sack just because it was a pass play and he did go down. So it would have been credited to Oklahoma as a sack, and ends up forcing a 4th down on that 3rd and 15 in the second quarter. But instead it was, ends up going back, and then, of course, the holding call on a punt return pins Oklahoma inside their own 5-yard line, which we already talked about, setting up that sequence that led to a safety. And another one is also the roughing the passer. I think it was extremely questionable. Actually, no, I don't even think that. I think it was extremely terrible. I think it was a horrible call. Should not have been roughing the passer, but that roughing the passer ends up giving Ole Miss a drive that results in a field goal, I believe, at that point. And so there was just a lot of things in that first half I think you look at. I think the first half was more crucial for Oklahoma than the second half. And the first half, the thing is, they didn't even look as bad as they did against Texas, per se. I don't think they looked even that bad, and they still just had a really bad half that ruined the second half of the game for them. So ultimately, I think that's what it boils down to. I think with all of the factors that ended up losing the game, those to me seem to be the biggest one for the Sooners against Ole Miss.